States have breathed a deep sigh of relief because the Trump administration, to say the least, was not exactly immigration friendly. So there were all kinds of midnight proposals that were made by the Trump administration that really could have done some very, very significant damage to the immigration system. And we'll tell you a little bit about those. But what probably is more important is to focus on the good rather than the bad. And that is that the Biden administration, when they came in, had a bunch of day one or first day proposals that they wanted to put into place. And so this slide tells you a little bit about sort of where we are and where we're going. But I think that most importantly, and it might be actually on the next slide, is that the Biden administration has proposed a what I guess you could call a comprehensive immigration reform bill, which is referred to as the Citizenship Act of 2021, which has subsumed within it a group of provisions that are favorable to business immigration generally, favorable to family-based immigration generally, and very favorable to a variety of humanitarian programs that have been around sort of in the background for a long time, especially during the Trump administration. So with that, Lutka, maybe we want to go through some of the day one initiatives of the Biden-Harris administration and tell the students sort of what the general changes have been.
So first of all, David, I just want to go back to that immigration bill and just make it clear that this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow, because we get these questions all the time. We don't even know in what form or shape it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. So it's really difficult to say. I mean, it looks good on a paper, but it's going to take a long time for it to shape up to one way or the other. So I just want to make it clear that it's not something, because I've had some students asking me when can they apply for citizenship. So this is exactly the type of program that we're going to do right now, just to explain to you how you can stay here long term, what are the ways you need to follow, how you need to plan. So I just want to make that clear. So one of the first things that we've seen day one, because obviously since then there have been a lot of changes, but a big one, maybe not for students, but for our DACians. So these are childhood arrivals, those that entered the United States a long time ago as kids, and now they hold the DACA. So for the past 4 years, it was very scary because the prior administration, they were trying to get rid of it. And, we've had litigation for a long time. But it appears that one of the first things that Biden's administration put in place was that DACA will remain in place. And as you mentioned, the proposed immigration bill has expedited path to a green card and citizenship for our DACians. So that's a big one. Second, deportations. That was right away, was announced that they're going to stop deportations for at least 100 days. But unfortunately, it didn't really pan out because there is a litigation. So far, the deportations continue as is. Travel bans. So the Muslim travel ban was revoked. So they are still, actually, I just read, they're still dealing with consequences of that travel ban and immigrant visa ban and so on. They just posted how many immigrant visas were denied as a result of it. But, that's a big win, the revocation of a Muslim travel ban. And I think maybe that's a good place to just talk about travel bans, because I don't think, David, we have another slide. So let's just talk about what's going on right now. Yep. Immigrant visa, there was a proclamation in April, I want to say it was in April, that prevented applicants or beneficiaries to receive immigrant visa abroad. So The green card applications, we were able to file them here in the United States, and people were getting the green cards. It was just for applicants outside of the US. So that ban was lifted. So we are back on, issuing immigrant visas abroad. We still have the non-immigrant visa ban. That was not lifted yet. That's for H-1Bs, for Ls, for Js. So it's not for students, but that's still on. And then, of course, we have COVID-related health travel bans. So that was lifted for maybe a few hours on the 25th or 6th, and then by Trump, and then it was reinstated by President Biden. So we still have those countries in such as Brazil, Schengen countries, China, and in addition, South Africa was added. So whoever visits these countries or is currently in those countries and is trying to come back, they would not be able to unless they get exception. And there was a change now, I think it was last week, right, David? Last week or 2 weeks ago, last week, there was a change. They made it a little bit stricter with as far as getting that national interest exception. It's still passable, but it is stricter. So nobody knows how long that's going to be around. But if you are from one of those countries, you can always, in fact, embassy, they have most of the embassies, they have it on the website that you can just go to a different country. So let's say if you're from Brazil, you can go for 2 weeks to Mexico and then enter United States without needing an exception. So that is still on. And of course, when traveling outside of the US, you need to get negative COVID test coming back. So that's for everyone, for US citizens, for visa holders, green card holders, for everyone. And it has to be within the 3 days of your entry. So our recommendation, do not travel.
Exactly.
Embassies are pretty much a mess. It's very difficult to get an appointment. Travel restrictions in various countries differ, so you always have to check what's going on in that particular country. But if you're just planning to go for spring break, I'm getting emails from students, just go to Florida, don't go outside of the US. So that would be our recommendation.
So finally, coming to this sweeping comprehensive immigration reform bill that I raised before, the big question is whether or not we feel as immigration lawyers that there will be a sweeping bill, or whether we feel that possibly the provisions that are contained within that bill will be broken apart into pieces and slowly be implemented into the law. So it always is a big challenge for politicians to get sweeping bills through, because there's so many interest groups. And whenever you have so many different interests that are going at the same time, it becomes a very difficult uphill battle. So what we're starting to see, and every day we see new laws being proposed in Congress, in the House and in the Senate, which are the provision, it seems like they're the provisions from this sweeping immigration bill that are broken out, just dealing with one particular issue, as opposed to being comprehensive in nature. So it's possible that what we might do is we may see these bills being implemented on a piecemeal basis, as opposed to being done on a comprehensive basis. So stay tuned as we slowly watch these things emerge. For example, one of the things that just happened, I believe it was yesterday, is deferred DED, deferred enforced departure, and TPS for Venezuelans was implemented. So that was something that the administration clearly had an interest in. It was subsumed in the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, but obviously it this was implemented by an administrative initiative It was actually a memorandum by Alex Mayorkas that was promulgated yesterday. So Venezuelans now are given the opportunity to apply for work authorization here in the United States. So what's really good about the sweeping bill is it keeps the immigration issue on the front burner. It helps us to understand that immigration is an important issue, and something needs to be done to correct our unfortunately broken immigration law system. How quickly it's going to happen, as Ludka said before, we just don't really know.
But the good thing, David, is that we will see hopefully positive changes. The way it's going, should be positive. Hopefully more customer friendly, because we had, not such a great experience in the past few years. But the
Understatement.
USCIS, that's an understatement. But for students, what's important to know that hopefully government will be more flexible, and customer service at the USCIS and embassies will be better. So, hopefully it's all positive.
Exactly.